Hey guys, this is Justin Ledford, and welcome to the Benefits of Government Construction Contracts featuring Janet Berry. She won and completed over $4.5 million worth of government construction contracts, and if she can do it, so can you. This class is brought to you by Federal Construction University, which is our course for contractors and entrepreneurs teaching exactly how to build wealth by completing highly profitable federal construction contracts, which is our course for contractors and entrepreneurs teaching you exactly how to build wealth by completing highly profitable federal construction projects all over America or even in your backyard. You'll be given unlimited access to all my programs, series, and my high-end mastermind calls and classes. If you're a fan of completing highly profitable construction jobs, then you'll love my program, Finding the Best Contractors Nationwide, as well as Federal Construction Secrets. If you're interested in going through a 6-day free training, then I'll drop a link down below. Also, remember to hit the subscribe button. And now let's dive into our interview with our guest. Welcome to the Real Construction Owners Podcast, where we interview real construction owners and the service providers who are helping us succeed in a big way. Today, we have a very special guest, Miss Janet Berry, who's going to teach us the benefits of government construction contracts. She's going to enlighten you on how to get started and everything you need to know about why you as a contractor should be crushing it in the government construction realm. So stay tuned. What's up, Janet? How you doing today?
Hi, everyone. I'm doing fine. How about everyone else?
Man, we're truly blessed and we're truly favored. I know you're in the great state of Louisiana and I'm out here in Costa Rica. And just curious, have you ever done a podcast before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, then we're going to make this fun. I'm going to just guide you through this. But before we get into federal construction and your expertise, if you could, what were you doing before you got into federal construction or government contracts that led you to this moment in time? What were you doing before all this?
My background was in emergency disaster response.
Okay.
And federal contracting.
Yeah. So emergency disaster response, what happened? Was it a big hurricane or something?
Yes, it was hurricane recovery, sustainability, and basically logistics, sheltering, blue tarp roofing, and rebuilding of flood victim homes or hurricane victims' homes, and making sure that the contract was in compliant, oversight, project management to cradle to grave.
Nice. So you basically really helped out our government. You helped out America after like a big catastrophe such as a hurricane, and you helped the boots get on the ground to put up the emergency tents to facilitate the blue tarping to make sure no people get mold or more water in their house. And curious, is that lucrative for a contractor?
It's very lucrative in the federal contracting and in the state contracting, in both environments.
Yeah, and because the bottom line in life, I was taught by a mentor, like the more value that we as individuals provide to the world, the more blessings or compensation we receive in return. So, in the state of a catastrophe, like that's what we're the hurricane heroes. We show up and help, and the government wants, they need these services. So moving on, you are familiar with the new administration and the new $2 trillion stimulus plan, I'm sure. Could you share some insights on how massive that is and what it's going to do for contractors who know how to get these contracts?
It is massive, actually. It's going to implement from small businesses to large prime companies. And the opportunity there is long-term and beneficial to any business out there that is going to go into this environment in construction or provide any type of services from BPAs to IDIQs to emergency contracts being awarded, and it's a long-term beneficial to every company out there if they are interested in pursuing solicitation opportunities, contracts, and sole source contracts. So yes,
Yeah.
if you're interested in going down that path into the federal sector, it is very beneficial and can grow your company.
Now, I'm curious with the current state of the economy, with inflation on the rise, with everything going on all over the world, and
Right.
the housing market. I mean, it looks kind of bleak. Like it looks kind of like, oh God, what's going on in the world today? My question to you is, why do you feel every contractor should have a government construction sector of their business with the economy in mind?
Well, I mean, basically, our economy is or always developing and expanding and growing. And the need for, a construction contractor to come in and get into this environment, it's kind of like if you're been stuck and you want to bring in more contracts, more revenue, and grow your company, then and your money is pretty much guaranteed in the federal sector. They pay on time, and if the work is being performed and cradle to grave, then yes, it is very beneficial to any company that is interested in moving forward into getting contract with the federal government or your state government.
Curious, what would you say from your opinion with all your experience? Because I mean, you just helped a company win a $90 million contract. That is phenomenal. I'm curious, the benefits are obvious, but if you could just list them out for a contractor who is not yet doing business with the government, what would you say are the benefits of having a government construction sector?
It is a fantastic idea to create a federal government division, okay, a sector, a part of your business, and keep it separate from your private commercial sector. And the reason why is, basically, it's always a stream of revenue coming in, whether they vary from $25,000 contract to a $90 million contract. And you're capable of keeping on track and providing the services, cradle to grave. It's going to benefit you long term. To be honest with you, you're going to be successful and you're going to grow, and you may grow overnight within 3 to 6 months. Next thing you are sitting with a $50 million contract, or a $100 million contract. If you are very interested and determined and apply yourself and open that other additional division under federal, then I would tell you right now, you definitely need to go down that path. It may seem complicated in the beginning, but after you kind of understand the process and you understand the language, it is easier to maneuver through that system. And to be honest with you, I've taken a $250,000 a year profitable company and turned them into 48 million in less than 3 years. And it's according to the way you approach it, the way you handle it, the way you monitor it, and the way you oversee it from cradle to grave, from start to end. Okay, and it can happen, and it will work. You just got to make sure that you put all the key pieces together, and if you don't understand something, you need to ask questions.
Yes, that's why we created Federal Construction University. We teach contractors everything they need to know to win highly profitable government construction contracts. And that's why you're the expert within our network that assist all of our members with so many things, from writing their RFPs to training them on wage determinations and Davis Bacon. And please list out a few of the other things that you help our members with.
I also assist with DFAR clauses, interpreting the language that the government uses and how it applies to your company. A lot of people do not pay attention to that section of a solicitation where they insert that into the documents, and you've got to make sure that you pay attention, analyze it, outline it, make sure that when you're submitting your proposal, technical proposal, that is what the contracting officer is looking for. You don't need to put a lot of pictures or a lot of hype about trucks or equipment or machinery. What they want to know is, how are you gonna get the contract up and running? How are you gonna implement it? How are you gonna put your quality control plan in place? What you're going to do about your safety, and then how you're going to finish the contract at the very end, how you're going to submit all the reports, and make sure that you correspond with the contracting officers or the contracting officer representative. Okay, that's the
Yeah.
key factor. Is you got to make sure that you constantly monitor it, and if something happens or something goes into, let's say an accident happens or something breaks or whatever it may be on the job, they want to make sure that you are attentive and that you're going to do or implement the corrective actions to not do it again. If you put forth that effort, then of course your CPAR rating, which is a government report card, will come back very positive, and you can use that towards your next opportunity to go after another federal contract. And they do ask for past performance questionnaires if you're familiar with that process when you're submitting a bid. So if you could have a good to excellent rating on your CPAR report and you include that in on a technical proposal, then the more contract opportunities and awards you obtain.
Yeah, it's crucial, guys. When you first get started, just like Janet's mentioned, everything is hard until it becomes easy. That's the simple fact of life. And when you're starting a government construction sector, if you don't have a roadmap, a blueprint, or a set of plans that you need to follow, I promise you will fail, or it'll take you a year or 2 or 3 years longer than it could have took if you would have just, brought the right people on board to give you everything you need to succeed. And with that being said, I'm curious, Janet, what would you say are some of the common pitfalls or challenges contractors face when they're first getting started with government construction contracting?
One of the first pitfalls I see 98% of the time is if there is a Davis-Bacon Act implemented on a federal contract, the company fails to pay the skilled labor the correct wage determination, and they fail to put it on the payroll check stub, okay, where you have one line item stipulating the hourly employee's pay rate, and then the second line item needs to be the health and welfare fringe benefit breakout benefit, where you got to show that too. And because they will come in and audit you, and if they don't see that on the payroll register, then they're going to say, well, you're either underpaying them and you don't have it broken out correctly. They will fine you, and you'll have to go in and retro back pay those employees, and that's a long process and a big headache. That's one of the major pitfalls I see on pretty much 98% of the contracts in construction work.
But once you learn how to do certified payrolls and use the Davis-Bacon Wage Act requirements, the pricing and the fringe benefits, you can then use your mind, since you're a construction expert, to say, okay, this place set that they want to demolish and build a new one, okay, I'm gonna need 4 men to demolish this, and that's gonna take, let's say, 5 days, and the wage plus the fringe is right at $60. Okay, 4 times 60, let's go ahead and call it 85 to give that subcontractor money, extra money, so he makes money too. And then you know how to price your pricing accordingly. Now, I'm curious if you could elaborate a little further. What is a strategy that we can do as contractors to make sure we're paying these subcontractors properly using Davis-Bacon wage requirements?
Well, the first thing is you got to make sure that both parties, the prime and the subcontractor, has to be on the same line of communication. So the same Davis-Bacon Act wage rate that's implemented also has to carry down to your subcontractor. Your subcontractor also needs to send you a weekly report of their payroll register in order to combine it with the prime contractor, so that when the contracting officer comes in to review, either on a weekly or a bi-weekly or a monthly basis, that they can review and make sure that your payroll is done correctly, that all parties are in compliance. Okay. And if you fail to do that, then there's going to be some issues where there will be a conflict, and you'll have to explain yourself, as to the company will have to explain why you did what you did, and then you'll have to go back in there and do corrective action. You never want to go in and constantly repeat corrective actions, because then they're going to say, okay, they're not totally getting it, they're not understanding it. And so if you understand that in the very beginning and monitor it and implement it to all your subcontractors, and you assign an administrator that can help you oversee that and keep check, then you will continue to get additional contracts or BPAs, task orders, added on to the original awarded contract. And that contract can grow. It can go from $1 million to $5 million based on how you're monitoring and performing the work.
I love that. Now, there's a strategy that we've heard and that we've done ourselves, and I want you to elaborate on this a little further, where when we win a contract, is it possible for us just to put that subcontractor on our payroll?
No.
Okay, so somebody said this on my podcast recently where they just put the subcontractor on their payroll. Like, let's say they make an agreement to pay that sub $10,000 to get the job done. How does that contractor do that? I personally am curious. Do you have any insights?
Well, it's not a good idea, okay, to do that. I mean, you can bring that subcontractor on and put on your payroll, but you better make sure that you put or notify the contracting officer of your intentions, okay, and that they are in agreement with it, and sign off on it.
Okay.
If you do not inform that contracting officer that you're bringing on the subcontractor's employees and they are not made aware of it, then they can cancel or pull that contract from underneath the prime.
Yes.
And do not put them as a 1099 employee. They need to be a W-2.
Okay. All right. And guys, if you're a contractor and you're hearing all this, you're like, oh my God, certified payroll, Davis Bacon, I don't know anything about that. Guys, it's really that. It's simple. There's 4 parts to government construction. With what we teach within Federal Construction University is the 4-part government construction method. And that is how to find the deals to bid. Number 2, how to bid the deals properly. Number 3, how to find the best subcontractors, get them done. And number 4, how to do all the paperwork during and after to get all your money. Would you say that those are the 4 parts that if a contractor knows how to do, they can do very well?
You're exactly right. That is the
Amen.
correct process.
So curious about relationships with contracting officers and the benefit once a contractor comes in, gets a construction deal, and they do a good job. What can that turn into for that contractor?
Additional contracts and BPAs and IDIQs, and it just keeps growing. It can go, like I said, they will continue if you're performing and in compliance and playing the game, and you create this relationship with the contracting officers, because sometimes as a contracting officer and a contracting officer representative, there might be 2 to 4 people, right, that's overseeing that project, that construction project. If you are, abiding and submitting the reports and compliance and corrective actions and creating that line of communication with them, then you're going to get additional contracts. And there's no doubt about it. I've seen it happen. I've worked them. I've had it happen multiple times with multiple companies. So that definitely is a big plus. So yes, if you're able to perform and you oversee and monitor and make sure you have a project manager and an assistant project manager and your HR in-house personnel oversee that, then yes, you will definitely, next thing you know, you're sitting with $41 million in contract within a short amount of time. And they keep on adding those task orders onto that contract at an Air Force base or a military installation or the VA hospital or whatever it may be. Okay, so I've worked with multiple agencies, government agencies all across the United States and abroad. And I have definitely seen where, a small company only been in business 2 years. And then before you know it, within that 2-year frame of them getting their first federal contract, they're now sitting with $30-40 million. And it's very profitable. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a couple case studies. You just mentioned one that 2 years went to 0 to 40 million. You had one go from nothing to 90 million. What are a couple other case stories that you could elaborate and shine some light on why when people join our network, they have all the tools they need?
So when they join our network, of course, basically they're going to have a hands-on approach from people that's already been in that work environment, that has already experienced it. So basically we're going to walk you through whatever issue or whatever questions or whatever technical proposals that you have, from how to price it out for all of your overhead costs, okay? And then your man hours, and then from there, what your profitability is, okay? Same thing in your technical proposal when you're going after a solicitation. Are you addressing cradle to grave exactly what they're looking for? How you're going to do the kickoff meeting, how you're going to implement and get all the supplies on board, how you're going to do the credentialing of all the employees, making sure that you have a start date, making sure that all the manpower that you're needing or any subcontractor that does specialty work are all in place. And then you implement the contract, you get it up and running from there. From that point onward, you're going to have hiccups. You can't stay away from hiccups. Okay, that's going to happen. That's the normal daily life occurrence. But as long as you communicate with that contracting officer, okay, or with our team, and you have come across something that in particular, that you've never handled before, don't hesitate to reach out and contact us. We have additional resources to pull from, contracting officers that I can call to advise us of the correct things that needs to take place within a certain amount of time frame in order to make sure that you're in compliance, that you're not in risk of losing your contract, or if you're implementing a proposal, you're signing off on all the amendments, any changes, anything that's even the design or the architectural documents of a construction contract changes when they're adding or taken away on a task order, making sure you're acknowledging that in your proposal submittal, and making sure that one key factor too, if you're submitting a proposal, a lot of people mistakenly put my quote is good for 30 days. Don't ever put that. You want to put it for 90 days to 120 days. You want to know why? That reason is if that first contractor fails to perform, they're going to pull that contract from the other contractor. And if you're the second person in line for that contract, they're going to award it to you. And the reason why they awarded it to you is because you put your quote for 90 to 120 days. Okay.
Yep.
And so that's a key factor that I impress upon everybody to utilize to your benefit. Do not limit yourself on a 30-day quote.
Yeah. And when contractors are coming into this, they're used to their whole retail, dealing with the homeowners, dealing with commercial business owners. So they put that in their quote. One time I turned in a bid for 1.37 million for underground gas tank removal, fill it with dirt and put some new electrical and build a gas above ground canopy. And 6 months later, the government called me or emailed me and said, "Hey, is your quote still good?" And that was because I didn't put in my bid, "Hey, this bid is only good for 30 days. So what are a couple other key nuggets that you could share with a contractor who's listening, who's saying, "Man, this sounds good. I want to get started. I'm going to talk with Justin about Federal Construction University." What would you say are some key nuggets they need to know?
Some of the key factors that I would recommend is to make sure that how to go in and maneuver through a wide area workflow on your invoices. If it's a military type contract, they're either going to go, they're not using the system where you email the invoice anymore. Okay. It's good to email to the contracting officer, but in the same token, they use wide area workflow, WOF. And that is not a user-friendly system. And being able to go through the training classes and get yourself familiar with how that invoicing works, because you may be submitting weekly invoices, or part A of this project or part B of this project, and you're going to have to understand how wide area workflow system works and how to upload those invoices into the system, what key codes you have to use to make that invoice go through and get approved so that you get paid.
Amen. Amen. Now, before we go into any other key nuggets, I want to ask you, because you sparked something very valuable. When contractors, they think, "Oh, it's going to take forever to get paid by the government." But if they show up to the first pre-con meeting with a few key items, what are those few key items that if they show up with, they're going to get paid right away?
That is going to be your supplies and material and equipment. Okay.
Yep.
If you have to move and put a crane on the work site, Okay. And that is the beginning, of kickstart meeting, of all the things that have to be in place. A CCAN, okay, for all the storage of equipment and tools, safety stuff and so forth. What if you need to have,
Bonding.
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, basically, you're going to have first cost initiative money that you're forking out that can be billable, and you be able to get paid for those items that you're getting ready to put on the work site. And if they are sign off on that, then you want to submit that invoice immediately through wide area workflow to get that money back so that your cash flow is there. Okay.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
that's a key factor right there, is open line of communication with that contracting officer and telling them, I have to have this, this, and this on the job site in order to start my work. I have to have this, and in order for you to get paid, you just have to submit that invoice. That's one of the key factors, very important, that everybody needs to understand. And the government understands that too. So they don't have a problem on signing off on that, and then you uploading that invoice into the wide area workflow system, WAF. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I want to add to what you just said, Janet, because you just nailed it on the head, is when we get a contract, and what we teach our members within Federal Construction University is, when you get the contract, get all the submittals done, and don't ask for the NTP or the notice to proceed until you have your submittals done. The day you show up to the pre-con, you have your submittals, you have your construction schedule, your schedule values, you have your bonding. And so that way, and you've already filled out your WAWF, your wide area workflow. So that meeting, you can already start the process of getting paid. Why would somebody want to wait, do the work, and then start the process and then have to wait 14 days? Right? That's what these contractors say. They're like, oh, it takes forever to get paid. It's because they didn't know the strategy we just shared.
Correct. And another key factor is, if you're awarded a federal contract or a state contract, mostly federal, another key factor that a lot of businesses fail to do is they require that you have a quality control plan in place and provided to them within 30 days. So if you do not have a quality control plan already written out, I would advise you to go ahead and get one created and get it started. That is a must in the construction environment and any work being performed.
Amen. Amen. Janet, you have showed us that you're a wealth of knowledge. And listen, contractors, if you're on the fence and you haven't joined Federal Construction University yet, what are you waiting for? We give you all the tools, we give you the templates, we give you the blueprints, and you have access to our expert, Miss Janet Berry. She helps with writing the proposal. She helps with teaching you about the wage determination and Davis-Bacon, and so many other things that aren't coming to my head right now. But listen, if you want to learn more, go to federalconstructionuniversity.com, and you get access to my training. You also get access to Janet. Janet, from the bottom of my heart, this has been a blast today. Janet, thank you so very much for being on the Federal Construction Summit. This has been a blast.
Well, thank you.
All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that one. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe for more and drop me a comment below. Just so you know, I have a 6-day free training for you, teaching you how to win highly profitable government construction contracts. Just go to federalconstructionuniversity.com/free training, or click in the link in the description below. You'll be given strategies to grow your construction company efficiently into an 8-figure business, as well as the shortcuts to increase your profits and revenue by winning government construction contracts immediately. In this training, you'll get peace of mind by being able to follow a proven roadmap. So if that interests you, click in the description below or go to federalconstructionuniversity.com/free training. Thank you.